Good morning, Devils fans. It is Devils game day as we take on the Minnesota Wild today at 5 p.m. I know what you're thinking, an actual somewhat normal schedule, one-day breaks right into other games, even with the 5 p.m. start. But don't you worry. After today, it is a three-day break with the home at home, where we'll then be playing the Minnesota Wild in Minnesota at 8 p.m. But getting a little bit ahead of myself, let's talk about today's game. Well, we're coming off of a win, and Minnesota has had a fairly lackluster season. So, can we actually get a strong start for once? Well, we'll see. Minnesota doesn't have as strong of a first period as Buffalo has been trending towards, but they still play fairly strong early on. Don't really have high highs through the middle or end of the game like we do, or no, but no real low lows either. They just kind of been teetering just a little bit below average across the board in all three periods. On the whole, though, the biggest thing that we need to take advantage of is going to be their goaltending. Both goaltenders, Gustafsson and Marc-Andre Fleury, have struggled, and I mean struggled. Do you think our goaltending has been bad? I like to argue Vitek's been just fine. Yeah, Schmidt's not been the best, but if you're not happy with our goaltending, be glad you're not a Minnesota Wild fan because it has been atrocious over there, like abysmally atrocious. Again, if you're into the analytics a bit at all, their goals saved above expected are way in the negative. I think they're basically two of the worst goalies in the league currently. And so that's really what has Minnesota waffling around very mid average tier in the standings. Their skaters haven't been too much better, though. So it's not like they're absolutely plowing teams in like we were doing 2 seasons ago and we were getting caved by our goalies. Their skaters aren't doing their goalies much favors. It's just their goalies are not bailing them out at all. If anything, they're sinking them a bit on top of not being very dominant on the ice as well. Their top line has been okay, but not really taking over games as you would expect with Kaprizov on there. He's still been producing very well. Joel Eriksson Ek has been lighting it up to start the season. Hartman's been playing very well as well, obviously carried a bit by the hat trick game that he had the other day. But on the whole, they have decent scoring across the board, but nothing crazy. Their top end guys are doing all right, but by their standards are probably a little bit below. But they got a few point per game guys this early on in the season, so they're not pushovers by any means. In the special teams area, their penalty kill is bottom five in the league. So obviously, been saying this a lot. If we can get on the power play, get a few of them, should be able to produce, should be able to take advantage of that here in this game with how bad their goalies are struggling, with how abysmal their penalty kill has been. Definitely need to pot a couple if we get the opportunity to, but got to keep an eye out as they do have pretty good shorthanded chances for on their side. They do have one shorthanded goal, but they definitely have generated a few chances that possibly they might have been able to earn themselves another one. So definitely keep an eye out on that when we are on the power play. And their power play has been really bad too. I mean, it's basically bottom 10. With the guys that are on it, you would expect it to be a bit better. Obviously not atrocious, but the numbers, it's not like they're just not getting results and the numbers look great. They're kind of getting what they deserve there currently. Still early in the season, we're talking small sample sizes, so see exactly how it works out, but not been their absolute best start to the year. Across the rest of the team, defense for them, again, it's not been that great, but it's also been not that terrible. It's really their goaltending that's been the issue. So if we can actually control play, actually have a strong start, and actually play in their zone as we have basically against almost every other team so far this year. Again, we haven't had the best of results just with the expectations that the fan base has really placed on this team, but if we control play as we have been, even if it's a slightly step back, this should be a very winnable, very dominant game for us. 5 o'clock start is a little weird. I know sometimes those weird start times cause weird starts to games for guys until they get their feet going. But how much weirder can our first periods really get? So, hey, maybe we finally become the last team to actually score a first goal in a game, as we still have not been able to do that. If I have to go out on a limb here, let's say Timo actually gets a nice dominant performance, first goal. And so next thing I really got to talk about here is we do know Nico is not playing tonight. I don't think we got actual official lines for what tonight might look like. Could go a lot of different ways. We could see Holla bump up, play with Palat and Bratt. We could see Palat move down. We could see Mercer move up. We could see who knows, right? Mikey might bounce around. Really, the only thing we might maybe not even positive, but should be fairly positive on is Jack Timo Toffoli sticking together. They had a fairly lackluster 5-on-5 game in the last outing. So would like to see them bounce back a bit in this one, find their footing, and really take over as they have all season. They did still generate a lot of great chances on the power play, but 5-on-5 just wasn't that great. So would like to see them bounce back here in this one. Bottom nine, though, we'll see exactly how it plays out. I really don't think it makes too much of a difference because that line is going to be completely driven and dominated by Brett, and I think he should feast going into this game. And I think that's really going to do it. You got to keep an eye out on the big guys for Minnesota. Kaprizov, especially. Eriksson Ek has been playing fantastic. And we got to take advantage of their poor goaltending. Yeah, you would expect it to bounce back a little bit, but both guys have struggled. So we need to put the pressure on them early and heavy. Don't let them get too much into a rhythm. Light them up with the high danger chances because Minnesota has been bleeding those as well. That's really going to do it. 5 o'clock start. Looking forward to it. I've got some in-law Halloween stuff with the kids going on today, so I'll see exactly how I plan on consuming this game. But as always, I'll find a way to watch the whole thing, and I'll give you my thoughts on the whole way through. So enjoy your Sunday, guys. Enjoy the hockey game. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning as always, and forever.